In part 3, we're going to start looking at actually building this quiz, starting from question 1. So in the previous video, we set up the front page of the quiz, and we put in a little bit of ActionScript. We set up all of the layers here, and now we're going to start actually building this thing proper. This is where we're really going to start using a fair bit of ActionScript. So because it can be occasionally a little bit difficult to see on my screen, because I've got quite a big screen, I'm going to put it into Notepad every so often just so you can see what is happening in there, just so if you're following it through, you'll make sure you're using the right code rather than putting errors in there. So with a multiple choice quiz, generally you have a question and then a series of potential answers, and you hopefully have got a number of questions already set up for this. It will make your life much quicker. And for my quiz, I'm going to do it about dogs, and basically I'm going to have a picture of one of the dogs, and then I'm going to have a series of potential answers as to what actual type of dog it is. So the first one I'm going to put in here is just that picture. And I'm going to resize it. Remember, if you hold down the Shift key, it will maintain its proportions for you. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm just going to zoom in. I haven't made the canvas any bigger, I've just zoomed in slightly on it because I prefer a slightly bigger canvas, or at least the look of a slightly bigger canvas. And the first thing I'm going to do is put in a question. Make sure you have the right layer selected, and I'm just going to drag it out, and I'm going to put what type of dog is this? And I'm going to change this into a symbol, which is going to be a movie clip. Question 1, I'm going to call it. And I'm going to give it an instance name of, you guessed it, question 1. Okay. Now I want to add in a series of possible answers. Now for this, I'm actually going to create a text box first of all, because what you'll find is that when I create these into a button, I'll convert them into a button. When we actually run it, the end user will only be able to click on the text, which sounds relatively straightforward. However, when you think about they actually have to hit the text itself, it can become quite fiddly and quite they won't necessarily appreciate it. What they want is a hit area rather than actually having to potentially, for example, if it was this text here, they would actually have to hit the text itself, rather than what you'd be expecting is when you click somewhere in an area around there that it would recognize the click. I'm going to create, obviously you guys can create your own buttons in something like Photoshop if you want it to look pretty. Got text selected, haven't I? I'm going to do a rectangle, and then I'm going to select the text. I'm going to put Irish setter, not Setter, setter. Drag it a bit further down. I actually got this on the wrong thing, haven't I? Oh. For some reason, the text is disappearing. So I am trying to bring it to the front. There we go. It's not like that at all. Right, got it sorted now eventually. I don't know quite what happened there, but I think I managed to select everything on the frame. Anyway, I've put it on the answers page, on the answers layer, and there's now a potential place for someone to click on. So I'm going to convert that to a symbol, which is going to be a button, and I'm going to call this Irish1 underscore BTN. So the reason why I put 1 in there is because it's question 1. So if you want to potentially add more options in there for Irish setters, which I know there would be, you don't want them necessarily always doing the same thing. So for future questions, there may be a picture of an Irish setter there. So you don't want it to display the wrong answer if it's the right answer, if that makes sense. So in this instance, I'm calling it Irish1, so that when I assign the action of wrong answer, which is the case in this instance, it will perform what I want it to do. And then if in a later question it's the right answer, it will do a different thing. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. I'm going to add another button now. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Have some a beigey type background, isn't it? Gordon setter, which is the correct answer. So when you're creating these, you will be able to create buttons in Photoshop if you want to really kind of make them look nice. But in this example, I'm literally just putting them there, so to speak. I didn't give the instance name to the Irish button earlier on. So I'm just doing that now. So make sure that when you have all your answers there, so you can have as many answers as you want. I've got an Irish setter, Gordon setter, and I think I'll add one more. I mean, you guys can add as many different options as you want there. But I'm just going to have 3, otherwise you guys will be falling asleep as you are watching. Let's have again a very slightly different. And there are 3 types of setter, so I'm going to have an English setter in there. Okay, so I'm going to group it, right click, convert to symbol, English1.btn or underscore BTN. And then remember to give it a instance name, English1 BTN. Okay, so now we have 3 buttons on our screen. So the user, when we run this, can potentially click on one of them. It's, however, not going to do anything as yet. So you can tell it's a button because the hand changes into, or the mouse changes into a hand. So we haven't actually done anything in terms of making these clickable. Well, they are clickable, but making them do anything yet. Okay, so there are 2 other things we want to do. We want to have a right and wrong answers. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the visibility in these, otherwise it's going to look a bit crazy. So I'm choosing right layer here, and all I'm going to do is add you have the right answer, lots of exclamation marks, and then I'm going to just use a picture of a smiley face just because it's already in my folder. Let's make it a bit better. There we go. I'm just going to highlight them and group them, so Control G, remember, and I will convert that into a symbol, which will be a movie clip, because we don't want this necessarily to be clickable, and we're going to call it right. Click OK. I'm going to make that hidden, go to wrong layer. It's not the wrong layer, it's just the layer that I've called wrong. And again, I'm going to do a similar thing where this is the wrong answer. And then sad face. I'm not sure I actually have a a disappointed looking picture here. No, I'll tell you what, you can have a troll face in there instead. How about that? There we go. Now if I unclick all of these, you can see that if we were just to leave it like that, it would look, like I said, a bit crazy. So we need to actually do something about this, and we'll start it off in ActionScript. Now, like I said, this is where if you're not used to coding, it can become a little bit fiddly, and I need to remember all the instance names I've just made. But basically what we're going to do is turn certain items to visible. Certain items. Sorry about that, I just got called away for a second. So we're going to go into the Actions panel, make sure that you've got current frame selected, and it's got to be frame 20. Okay. So we've already set the playhead to stop in the previous button, so the button that goes from the home page to this page has set it to stop, so it's not going anywhere. We don't need to do that for this one. However, what we do need is to specify certain things to display. So we want question 1 not visible equals true. And we basically need to go through all of the instance names and specify whether or not they're visible. So we'll do that by using values of true or false. So true if it is visible, false if it's not visible. So we want, for example, to have Irish1 was true. Of course, I have to remind myself that I've called them Irish1 dot underscore. Oh, I don't know why all of those just appeared. Irish1 underscore btn dot. I'll get right in the end. English1. However, there are certain things, obviously, like I said, we don't want to be displayed, such as right. So that's what we use false for these, and then we use wrong. So as a programmer, we spend, I'm not a programmer by trade, but I obviously have done programming in my life. This is a form of programming. We spend most of our time actually looking through code that's been written, trying to make sure there are no errors in it. So we've got to make sure that you constantly test your movie or whatever you're making in case there are errors, because it's much easier to fix at the time than if you're having to try and find something that you might have done a few hours ago. So I'm just going to test it, and it's giving me errors, you see. And basically I've not given right and wrong instance names. So I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to get rid of actions for a minute, and I'm going to turn all these off because it's going to make it easier for me to do this. So basically, when I go back in here, in fact, I had a complete fail with this one. I didn't even didn't even group it. So Control G, convert to symbol, wrong. And then it's in here that I haven't given. This is what it's referring to. So obviously I haven't given it an instance name here. I need to give one an instance name of wrong, and this other one an instance name of right. And we've all done this. So you know, don't feel that if you do make an error in it that something has necessarily gone inherently wrong. We've all made errors in the past. So hopefully this will now work. There we are, and you can see that the values of right and wrong have disappeared, which is is nice. So just very quickly, I will take these and I will just paste it in here so that those of you who might be struggling to see can actually kind of get a better view. But this is the ActionScript code that I've just written. So obviously each one of the instance names dot visible, and then whether or not it's true or false. Now obviously we need to create some ActionScript that will change this depending on what answer is given by the end user, and I think it's just time very quickly for a break, and we'll look at that in the next video.